Hey, welcome back to Environmental Talk for a Green Planet. I am Garv, your green guide to the globe, and here is Nanak and Atit.
Hi, I'm Atit, and today we will be discussing about a lot of stuff, and most of the stuff is related to waste pollution. It's something that we did research on our multimedia project, part A, and for this part two, we will be, and I personally will be talking about eco-friendly tea on what's really happening in the world of travel.
Hi, I am Nanak and I am ready to take you on a journey that's going to change the way you think about your vacation plans and plane tickets.
Okay, folks, today hot topic is tourism and waste pollution. You might think, hey, I'm just a traveler. What harm can I do? Do you know most of the tourists is the most harming person in the planet because if you see it like that way, I am going to some place, going with beers, plastic cans, anything like that,
Yeah.
plastic bottles,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm throwing them on the beaches, any places. It's doing way too harm.
And also, especially, I personally think like throwing such plastic things in a forest where wildlife resides is actually gonna harm the animals. There is a reason because plastic, if animals eat plastics, they can't digest it, and it's a kind of a poison for them. If they do eat them, they are sure gonna die because it's gonna stuck on their throat, maybe in their it can cause indigestion. So, and for the wildlife, we have to save wildlife because wildlife is our need for many things.
It's going to disrupt the food chain as
Yes,
well.
it actually gonna do.
Yeah, and as per the topic, like what can one tourist impact to a certain place's environment? Like it's not just about one tourist because uh, we can multiply the numbers of tourists by millions, and yeah, like millions of people, millions of selfies, and that's multiplying the number, we could understand that how much waste is really created, like millions of tons of waste.
Yeah. Did uh, did you know that tourism is responsible for over 35 million tons of waste each year? Yes, that's like stacking up garbage from one end of the planet to the another.
Wait, how many?
35 million, that's quite high. 35 million tons of waste every year.
That's way too
That's way
much.
too much, I know. Yeah.
And the worst part, a lot of waste is just unnecessary,
That
like
especially comes
food.
from tourism, like from especially from tourism, which means like tourists are not that much responsible for the sites they are visiting, especially they are not looking at the policy boards that government has actually implanted on the same thing, you know.
Yeah.
And if you see like that way, do you know like tourists try new food and they didn't like it, they just throw in the garbage. Do you know how many hotels worldwide contribute to food waste?
I have no idea, maybe
79,000 million tons
Oh
of
my God.
food waste alone.
alone.
That is
Food
enough to
waste,
feed an entire nation if you think it like that way.
that's high, man.
Yeah, and
That's
then then there is also plastic,
yeah.
and plastic. Uh, it's the clingy acts of our ecosystems. Tourists produce up to 8 million tons of plastic waste that end up polluting our oceans, our rivers, our sea, and beaches, and Bali, for instance, gorgeous beaches, beautiful temples, and up to 60 tons of plastic trash on the shores annually.
And also, for the recent research that I did, even Mount Everest is not safe. The world's tallest mountain is now being called the highest garbage dump. From oxygen tanks to food tanks, climbers, especially the climbers, are leaving their marks, but not in a good way. For example, they are leaving their food waste, canned waste, on the side on the climbing route, which is not good for the mountain actually, because you are not supposed to throw all the waste on the mountain. That's how not it's supposed to be, right?
Definitely, like I personally think that mountains are uh, uh, they are quite high on elevation. So because it's so high on altitude, there aren't a lot of people who live there, but there are like limited people, and there is wildlife that is flourishing in mountains. And
Yeah.
so like few tourists climbing up the mountains or visiting the mountains, producing trash and just leaving it there, it's gonna affect for the environment that's left behind. And then yeah.
By the way, you are from Nepal. How do you feel about it? Have you ever seen Mount Everest?
I haven't seen Mount Everest, but I have seen all of the other mountains except that. But I personally think that it's. I think the government should also play a huge role on making plans and policies on controlling and putting it into places, and not just leaving it to the people there, or just randomly. Not if there is no uh, if people don't know that there isn't somebody managing this place, or it's gonna create a chaos. So I think government should play a role in those areas, but also it also comes down to people should be more responsible, right?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this?
I think that's enough, topics to make people aware about it. I personally think about it, but let's continue with our stats, what we have here. So,
Okay, I mean, it's one thing to climb the mountain, but do we really need to make that place?
no, for example, I personally think the mountains, wildlife, the even in the forest, they have like it's a house for them. We have to be like concerned about it and shouldn't provide any waste on it. What that's how I personally think.
Yeah, and the pollution doesn't end on land either. Like planes, cars, cruise ships, all the movement burns fuels, creates lots of carbon emissions, greenhouse gas effects, and uh, it boosts emissions. From 2005 to 2016, tourism-related transport emissions jumped up to 60%. That's not just a vacation; we're talking climate impact here.
That's high. That's quite high.
Yeah.
But don't worry, we don't have to worry about it because we have got some bright ideas and good vibes to turn things around.
Oh, by the ideas you mean local NGOs, organizational, like
Yeah, I think so. That can be helpful. Yeah.
they are like they just take some aids from people and they really do something for the environment.
Yeah.
Like
I think so. Yeah.
NGOs are the best way. Like I like donating to them.
Yeah.
I personally think like putting taxes on the waste because, for example, carbon emission. How government puts taxes on carbon emissions, so people are like eliminating those things. Like
I think
I
we cannot get rid of these things.
yeah, they're always, but we can reduce it. We
I think
can't just get rid
one
of
of
it.
the major roles that we could play is by creating more awareness. For example, we all know about the Greta Thunberg, or her movement about. So she's quite popular, and like people like those are trying to put forward this idea of controlling the environment, saving it for the, looking it into the future, and not just for our needs, but also for the future generations. And that's why
Yeah,
sustainability plays a huge role in
Yeah.
that. And yeah, shout out to places that are banning single-use plastics and setting up tourist recycling stations. It's like eco hospitality for your trash.
And guess what? You don't need to be a superhero to help. Little things counts. Carry your own water bottle. Say no to plastic straws. Pick a hotel that actually cares about sustainability.
And for all us like students, we can just save earth by doing some little bit contribution like wearing little children or next generation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
Like
yeah.
in school,
Sorry.
we used to have a project on Earth Day. We do small activities like planting trees, all these kind of stuff.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and so my personal motto I would say is like we should talk about this more and we should let people know about all of this stuff. Imagine if everyone who heard our conversation about this just right now tries to make just one change. That's thousands of bottles saved, meals not wasted, and garbage kept off the beach.
Yeah, so the next time you are packing your bags, pack a little eco consequence consciousness too. This planet is your playground and your lifesaver and also a life provider. So don't trash it.
Okay, guys, that's it for today episode. Okay.
Consequences too. This planet is your
Hey. Welcome back to Environmental Talk. Here.